On the first morning of summer, 1948, bathers on Somerton Beach walked past a well-dressed man propped against the seawall and thought he was sleeping off a long night. He wasn't. He had been dead for hours. The coroner's flash tells you everything and nothing. A man in his 40s, in a good suit on a hot beach. A half-smoked cigarette resting on his collar, as if it had simply fallen from his lips mid-thought. No struggle, no note, no name. Then the pockets. A used bus ticket, an unused rail ticket to Henley Beach, a journey he bought and never took. Chewing gum, matches, a comb, and that is all. No wallet, no papers, nothing with a name on it. It gets stranger. Every label in his clothing, every maker's tag, every laundry mark had been cut away. Not worn out, cut. Someone took a blade to this man's identity, seam by seam, and did it carefully enough to leave no thread behind. The autopsy should have closed the case. Instead, it cracked it wide open. His spleen was 3 times its normal size, his organs congested and ruptured, a textbook poisoning. But when the chemists went looking for the poison itself, there was nothing there. It had vanished with him. Sir John Cleland, one of the finest pathologists in the Commonwealth, could name only 2 substances that kill like that and then disappear from the blood. Both were exotic. Both were hard to get. And both, he noted quietly, were favored by people trained to use them. And Adelaide, in 1948, was not a sleepy town. An hour to the north lay Woomera, the most secret weapons range in the Western world, where British rockets and atomic ambitions were taking shape in the desert. Unnamed men with cutaway labels were suddenly everyone's problem. Detectives sent his photograph across Australia, then across the world. Sailors, husbands, missing men. Dozens of names were offered, and every single one was ruled out. His fingerprints went to Scotland Yard and to the FBI. Nobody had him on file. He had walked out of nowhere. Then, in January, a break. In the cloakroom of Adelaide's railway station, a suitcase checked in the morning before he died. Inside were clothes with the labels cut away, a stenciling brush, a sharpened table knife, and a coat stitched in a style found only in America. But the strangest exhibit was already on the table, and nobody had found it. Months after the autopsy, a pathologist went through the dead man's trousers one more time, and deep inside, a hidden fob pocket, sewn tight against the waistband, was a tiny, rolled scrap of paper. 2 printed words torn from the last page of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a book of Persian poetry. Tamám Shud. It is ended. This man had gone to a beach to die, carrying a message, hidden where only a search after death would ever find it. The police begged the public to check their bookshelves. And a man came forward, nervous, never named, with a Rubaiyat somebody had tossed into his parked car near that very beach. Its final page was torn. The tear matched the scrap. Exactly. Inside the back cover, in faint pencil under ultraviolet light, 5 lines of capital letters that spell nothing in any language on Earth. Naval intelligence tried. Professional codebreakers tried. 50 years of computers have tried. The verdict never changes. Too short to crack, too ordered to be nonsense. A one-time message meant for exactly one reader. There was a telephone number penciled in that book too. It led to a nurse who lived 5 minutes' walk from the seawall. Shown a plaster cast of the dead man's face, she looked, and, one detective swore, nearly fainted. Then she denied ever knowing him, and the police, gallantly, let it go. And that is the part that should keep you up at night. Not the poison, not the code, the shrug. The inquest recorded no name, no cause, no verdict, and adjourned itself into silence. File number 33. Case closed. Too quickly. He was embalmed, kept, just in case. Then buried in West Terrace Cemetery, under flowers paid for by strangers. And for years afterwards, fresh blooms kept appearing on the grave. Nobody ever saw who left them. The beach photograph slides back into the folder, and the folder goes back on the shelf, among 1,000 cases that got answers. Out at Somerton, the seawall stands dark, and the tide comes in the way it did that night, smoothing the sand, taking the footprints with it. In the cemetery, the flowers still came, year after year, laid by hands nobody photographed and nobody caught. They buried him under a stone that says, unknown, and someone, somewhere, made very sure he stayed that way.